There. This short video is going to walk you through the process of creating a magazine cover using the Adobe program InDesign. I, on my very messy desktop, have set up a folder that says magazine. You put yours on your drive and just put a couple photos. I just threw a couple in here so that I can play with them on my screen. The program is called InDesign. It's one of the Adobe products, and you can find it and just launch it. Mine may not be fully updated, but it should work just fine. You can take a moment and update yours, but I wouldn't spend tons of time doing that. We're going to make a new file, and this magazine cover is going to be a standard 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to click this right here, and my magazine is going to be vertical, just like a magazine off the shelf. And you'll see I have my measurements right here. I'm actually going to make a quick change. I'll make this a little different. We'll make this 12 by 14. We'll make it kind of a custom thing. We're just making a cover. I'm not going to use margins. So I am going to work end to end, all right? But you know what? I'm actually going to reverse what I'm doing here. I'm actually going to leave a margin here. So this was a 1/2 inch margin. I'm just going to keep that, 0.5. Now my units, I'm working in inches, but you'll see there are a whole bunch of things from points to picas. It's entirely possible that your default might be set to points. I would use inches. Points is a compositing tool used in the printing industry. And if you need to make a change in this, just go up to InDesign and go to Preferences, and you will find units and increments, and you can just change that to inches. All right, so I have a new document. I've made this actually custom 12 by 14. You can pick your own size, but have it sort of relevant. And you'll see that I now have this kind of slightly odd, maybe a little more squarish magazine than anything else. This is my grid up here, and I can drag lines across that will be kind of invisible lines, but they're going to help me organize what I'm doing here. And I can move those around. Whoops, sorry about that. Command Z, of course. I can move these around and totally get rid of them if they're distracting me. I will put these right on the edge for the moment. I'm going to start with a really big photo, and what I'm going to do to put a photo in here is I'm going to make a box. This is a full rectangle, and it's going to be covering my entire page here. You see I'm zipping between these tools. The selection tool gives me these little pointers, right? These little angles. I want it to be exactly 12 by, I think my full measurements were 12 by 14, and that's really what it is. So it's this outer box that I care about, okay? So now, to put a photo in here, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to go File, Place. And I'm going to place a photo. It's going to ask me where. I'm going to go to my desktop in my magazine folder, pop this open, and I have 3 photos. Looks like I just have 2 that are JPEGs. This is a DNG or RAW photo, so I guess I can't use that. I think I will use this one. And you'll see my photo came in just about like this. I am going to do a few things with this photo. You'll see that I have these 2 arrows, right? The selection tool for the whole thing, and this works the content tool. Now you can also see that I've already messed things up. I have my box, but see how I've actually moved my box out of place? I want to keep that in place. That is kind of my bounding box here. And this box lets me move this photo. So this photo is actually rather small, and I might need a different one. But I'm going to try to see what happens when I make this a little bigger. And you'll see that if I just move things around, I'm actually distorting this photo. And so now my photo looks totally bad, and I don't want to do that. So I want to do this again. And I am going to try to fit my photo into this box. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to fitting. And I'm going to fit the content proportionally to this frame. I don't want to change my proportions of this photo. All right, so unfortunately, this isn't a strong vertical photo, but that's going to shift my magazine. And maybe I'll do something else with another photo here. Now we're going to work in layers, and I am going to make another box. And again, it's going to be the full size. And this box, I want to fill. All right, so I have these two little boxes here. Now this is for the stroke, and this is for the space. You'll see that currently it's blocked off, but I am going to make a color for my background. And I'm going to come sort of like this. And I'm going to make it sort of a gentle pinkish, maybe like a gentle pinkish yellowish hue, something about like this. That's my color right there. I'm going to click OK, and you'll see that that's the color of the background. Now, I want to right-click this, and I want to go to Arrange, and I want to send this backward. And you'll see that now it is behind the photo, and I now have this kind of cool artsy vibe going. Here's my photo, and my photo's going end to end, so it's going to go right to the very edge of my magazine and right up here. And I also want to make a pretty bold line. So I'm going to use this line tool. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm just going to make this kind of line to separate things. Now, again, my line tool is right up here. This is my measurements. And I'm going to make this line kind of big, but you'll see that it's actually, there's actually no color to this line. So I'm going to give it some color. I'm going to give it black right there. And whoops, I made a mistake. And now this is my line. And I want to make sure my line is also arranged properly. So I want to have my line in the front, which it looks like it is. And for some reason, my line keeps disappearing. So I'm going to try making a new line. I'm going to make it black. I think that'll work now. I'm going to make it 2 points. All right, I had another line here, but I think I just messed that up. And I'm going to hold the Shift key down, and now I have a line. Let's see if I still have another line down here. And I do, I have this line. So I'm going to just click that and delete it. So here's this kind of border line that I'm going to use. And I'm going to make it kind of selected. I'm going to make it kind of artsy, a little dashed 3 and 2 pattern. And I want to really make this super bold. Not that bold. Kind of like that. And I'm going to put that right here. When you make a line, if you hold the Shift key down, it'll draw it out straight. And so there's my line right about there. And now I want to have a title for my magazine. And I'm going to pop that title in a box. And here's where I'm going to keep my margins. And now you'll see, whoops, that I actually made a box that is filled. And I don't want that. So I want to come over here and I want to cancel this. And I want to make sure this box will not be filled. So here we go. All right, I've just changed it so that it will have no fill. And it's now got this weird dashed line. I don't want it to be weird. I want it to be solid like this. I now am going to make a title. And I'm going to call this magazine The City. Now, obviously, that's not going to work. I definitely don't want to use my default text. So I'm going to use, I like Cubano. That's kind of cool. And I'm going to make this, of course, very giant. And actually, that's not even giant enough. I'm just going to keep going. And something like that. Now, I don't want it to just sit alongside this line because that's going to look really bad. So I need to go to text frame options, which is object text frame options. And I want to have this inset. And I'm going to inset it by about 0.125 inches all around. And I'm going to align it in the center. And I'm going to click OK. And so now it's aligned in the center of my box. It's about 0.125 inches away from everything. And I can say, you know what, maybe that's not quite as much as I want. Maybe I wanted it to be a little more. So I'm going to go back to text frame options. And I'm actually going to make it be 1/4 inch from this box. So now my text is inset by 1/4 inch. I want to do something else to my text, and I want to actually center it in this box itself. So I'll just come up here, and I've now done this. I have space for one more photo, and I am going to go to File, Place, right there. And I'm going to use my other photo, which I think will be this one. I don't know why I'm putting this in the city. And again, I want to right-click this. I want to go to Fitting, and I want to fit the content proportionally in the frame. Okay, so this is now my my second photo. You'll see that it's got a little space. So this one fitting, I'm actually going to go back, and I'm going to fill the frame proportionally. I always keep the proportions, okay? So now this is my magazine name. Here's one photo. Here's this border line. I just move that out of place. Here's another one. And now I want to make another box. This one's going to go right here. And this is going to tell my stories. And I want to make this, I'm going to use this kind of interesting Japanese dots. And now I'm going to come up with headlines for 3 stories, all right? One's going to be Art in the City. I'm going to use a different font for all of these. I'm going to use, let's try copper plate for this. Something like this. And I'm going to make these be consistent. Okay. Again, I'm going to go to text frame options so that I have this a little bit inside. And this time I'm just going to make it 0.125, and they're locked so it's all around. All right, Art in the City. And we'll actually give this a quick description, or maybe I'll just give this a name. By Joe Smith. And so that I make this a little different, I'm going to bold this. Art in the City by Joe Smith. Get Your Food by Amy Rooks. And maybe I'll come up with one more short title. And let's do one on Sports in the City. Sports in the City by Fred Brown. And I will just simply make this also bold. Okay, so this is a pretty kind of not so good magazine cover, and I'm hoping you'll come up with something a little better. What I'd like you to do, though, before you get too far along, is just simply Google magazine cover design and just see what some magazine covers look like. All right, here's Vogue, actually. Always has some pretty good covers. You can see these bigger, okay? So they have some different style. This is a great one. It uses text right on top of the picture. Here's a piece of text underneath. Your goal is to come up with a cool magazine cover, and you'll see that mine compared to any of these is so much worse. So I'm hoping you will do something very, very cool. All right, that is a basic of InDesign. Make sure you save your work, and I'll see you in there. Bye.